Most people don't realize how much social media is quietly shaping their financial behavior. It feels harmless at first. You open your phone to check a message, scroll for a few minutes, maybe watch a short video or two. But before long, you're looking at someone on a beach in Bali, another person driving a brand new car, someone else showing off a luxury apartment, and suddenly your brain starts asking a dangerous question. Why don't I have that? It doesn't matter if you earn a decent income. It doesn't matter if you're financially responsible most of the time. That quiet comparison begins to change the way you see your own life and your own money. The truth is, social media has created one of the most powerful psychological spending engines in modern history. Not because the platforms themselves force you to buy anything, but because they subtly reshape your expectations. They normalize lifestyles that are far beyond what most people can realistically afford. And when those lifestyles start to feel normal, your brain begins to chase them. Suddenly, the apartment you were happy with feels small. The phone you bought last year feels outdated. The clothes in your closet feel boring. Nothing about your financial situation has actually changed, but your perception of it has. This happens because social media feeds are not neutral. They are carefully designed to capture your attention and hold it for as long as possible. Every video, every post, every image you see is part of a massive algorithmic experiment designed to figure out what keeps you scrolling. And one of the most effective triggers the algorithm has discovered is aspiration. People don't just want to see ordinary life. They want to see something slightly better than their own. Something exciting. Something luxurious. Something that makes them imagine a different version of their life. When your brain sees those images repeatedly, something interesting begins to happen. The dopamine system in your brain activates. Dopamine is often called the reward chemical, but that description is a little misleading. Dopamine isn't really about reward, it's about anticipation. It pushes you toward things that look like they might make you feel better. And when you see someone enjoying a lifestyle upgrade, whether that's a luxury vacation, a high-end gadget, or a designer outfit, your brain begins to imagine what it would feel like if you had that too. This is where the financial danger begins. Because the line between imagining and acting can become surprisingly thin. You might not immediately book a luxury trip or buy a sports car, but you might upgrade your phone sooner than you planned. You might order takeout instead of cooking. You might buy a new jacket because it reminds you of something you saw in a video earlier that day. Each individual decision feels small, harmless even. But these decisions are often driven by emotional impulses that social media quietly planted in your mind hours or even days earlier. One of the most powerful forces behind this behavior is something psychologists call social comparison theory. Human beings naturally evaluate themselves by comparing their lives to the lives of others. For most of human history, that comparison group was relatively small. It was your family, your coworkers, maybe a few people in your community. But social media has changed that completely. Now your comparison group includes millions of people across the world. Athletes, influencers, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and strangers, who appear to be living perfect lives. Your brain doesn't fully process the difference between your real life and their curated life. It just sees the outcome. It sees success, excitement, luxury, happiness. And it starts to treat those things as the baseline expectation. When that happens, the financial pressure becomes subtle but powerful. You feel the urge to upgrade your lifestyle in small ways that match the environment you're seeing every day. This process creates something economists refer to as lifestyle inflation. Normally, lifestyle inflation happens when your income increases. You get a raise, so you spend a little more. Maybe you move to a nicer place. Maybe you buy a slightly nicer car. That's fairly predictable. But social media introduces a new kind of lifestyle inflation that isn't connected to your income at all. Your spending increases simply because your expectations increased. You might earn the same salary you earned last year, but you feel the urge to spend more because the world you see online keeps expanding. Every new product launch, every travel vlog, every day in the life video subtly moves the goalpost of what feels normal. And here's the truly interesting part. Most of this spending doesn't happen in dramatic ways. It happens through small, almost invisible purchases. The extra food delivery order, the upgraded streaming service, the clothing purchase that seemed reasonable at the time. The subscription you signed up for after seeing someone recommend it online. Individually, these expenses barely register in your mind. But together, they create a steady leak in your finances. Over time, these small spending decisions can easily add up to hundreds or even thousands of dollars per month. Another powerful mechanism at work is something called dopamine-driven impulse spending. Social media platforms are built around rapid cycles of novelty. Every swipe brings something new. A new video, a new image, a new story. That constant novelty keeps your brain in a state of heightened curiosity and anticipation. When you encounter a product or experience that looks appealing during this state, your brain is already primed to act quickly. This is why so many purchases happen directly after scrolling. You weren't planning to buy anything when you opened the app, but after 20 minutes of stimulation and comparison, your brain becomes more receptive to the idea of spending. There's also a deeper emotional layer involved. Social media often presents a narrative of success that is tightly linked to visible consumption. Nice things are treated as evidence that someone is doing well in life. A nice apartment means you're successful. Expensive travel means you're adventurous. Luxury products signal status. Even if you intellectually understand that this is a curated image, the emotional impact still affects you. Your brain quietly absorbs the idea that buying certain things will make you feel more accomplished, more confident, or more respected. And sometimes it works, at least temporarily. You buy something that feels exciting. For a moment, you experience the same kind of excitement you saw in the post. But that excitement fades quickly. The brain adapts. What felt exciting yesterday becomes normal today. Soon the algorithm shows you something slightly better, slightly newer, slightly more impressive. And the cycle begins again. This cycle is one of the reasons people with perfectly respectable incomes still feel financially stressed. It's not necessarily because they earn too little. It's because their spending habits are being quietly guided by an environment designed to maximize engagement, not financial stability. Breaking this cycle doesn't require deleting social media entirely, but it does require awareness. The first step is recognizing when your spending decisions are emotionally triggered, rather than intentionally planned. When you see something online that makes you want to buy something, pause for a moment. Ask yourself a simple question. Would I still want this if I hadn't just seen it on social media? That small pause can interrupt the automatic spending loop. It gives your logical brain time to catch up with your emotional brain. Another powerful strategy is to create intentional friction around spending. The easier it is to buy something, and the more likely you are to do it impulsively. By adding small obstacles, like waiting 24 hours before making a purchase, you dramatically reduce the number of impulse buys that slip through. You can also change the way you use social media itself. Instead of following accounts that constantly showcase consumption, try following creators who focus on learning, personal growth, or financial literacy. The algorithm will gradually adjust your feed. Over time, the environment influencing your decisions will become healthier. Finally, it helps to redirect the same curiosity and ambition that social media sparks into something productive. Instead of trying to copy someone else's lifestyle, focus on building your own financial foundation. Invest in skills, invest in long-term assets, invest in opportunities that grow over time. The irony is that the people who eventually achieve the financial freedom often displayed on social media usually spent years ignoring the pressure to consume. They delayed upgrades. They invested consistently. They focused on building wealth rather than displaying it. Social media will always show you a world of upgrades, luxuries, and experiences. But your financial future doesn't depend on keeping up with that world. It depends on building something stable, intentional, and sustainable behind the scenes. Because at the end of the day, the goal isn't to look wealthy on a screen. The goal is to quietly build a life where your money works for you, your stress decreases, and your financial choices are driven by your values rather than someone else's highlight reel. And once you understand how social media subtly shapes spending behavior, you gain something incredibly valuable: the ability to step back, see the pattern, and choose a different path.